Welcome to the Control Engineering Webcast, tips on achieving scalable, repeatable, and protected automation solutions, sponsored by Stratus Technologies. I'm your moderator, Mark Hosky, and I'm happy to join you today on behalf of Control Engineering. We're so glad you joined us, and I hope you'll learn a lot from this discussion. Here are some tips to help you get the most from today's webcast. If you're experiencing issues with your slide or audio, refresh your browser or click the Refresh Media button directly under the presenter's picture. You can control the volume of the webcast by adjusting the volume on your computer or by adjusting the volume on the webcast platform. If you're having technical problems with audio or the slide presentation, click on the question mark at the top right corner of the screen to access a list of system checks to try before contacting an online technician. But if you do need a technician, type a message in the Ask a Question box and someone will get to you as quickly as possible. Type questions for our speakers in the Ask a Question box on the left side of the screen. The live Q&A session will begin after the presentation concludes. Today's webcast is being recorded, and you'll receive an email within a week with the link to the on-demand event. To download a certificate of completion and a PDF copy of the presentation, use the Event Resources tab on the left side of the screen. Those documents will also be available with the on-demand version of the webcast. I'm pleased to introduce the members of our panel today. Mike Bradshaw, Senior Director, Global Channels and Partner Ecosystem at Stratus Technologies, and Sam Chumley, Vice President of Business Development at Flexware Innovation Incorporated. This is a panel webcast where I'll be asking questions to Mike and Sam throughout the session. We'll begin with a quick overview of Stratus Technologies. Mike, can you please introduce Stratus now?
Sure, Mark. Stratus Technologies delivers zero-touch computing that's not just simple to deploy, but it's protected from threats and interruptions and is autonomous in how it's managed and monitored. Stratus has ensured continuous availability to over 11,000 of our customers' business-critical applications for over 40 years. And as you can imagine, we're a trusted supplier to the financial industries and critical national infrastructure. However, we've noticed recently that as automation plays an ever-increasing aspect to the business processes within many other industries, the need to minimize operational, financial, and reputational risk all mean that we're seeing a great expansion in our markets. Our durability is both testament to the value we continue to provide to our customers, and that said, to deliver the value we need for a solid, well-enabled, and trusted partner ecosystem. We therefore encourage the members to join our complimentary SI program, which I'll talk more about later in the session. And we'll also provide links that you can access to download materials, as Mark mentioned earlier. Sam, I'm going to hand over to you now to tell us more about Flexware Innovation.
Okay, thank you. Good morning or good afternoon from wherever you guys are at. Flexware Innovation is a systems integration company based out of Midwest, but we do have an office in North Carolina, and we have 2 offices in Indiana. 25 years in business, serving industrial manufacturing companies throughout the Midwest and the country and the globe. We like to differentiate ourselves in terms of services up and down what we call as the ISA 95 stack. So we have business units, engineering services, and automation, level 1, level 0, automation controls engineering. We have services in that systems integration space, that software development, middleware space for MES development or SCADA development, and then keep going up the stack for the S95 stack. We have a team for business intelligence that really is data scientists. They're doing data analytics, data warehousing, providing insights to data for our customers. And then finally, we have an enterprise solutions group. They're working in the ERP area, primarily with Microsoft Dynamics. So again, we serve industrial manufacturing companies throughout the country. Those customers are in the life science vertical, food and beverage vertical. The one that we're going to talk about today is water, wastewater. But we service a lot of different industries. And then finally, we have some service offerings that you'll find on our website at flexwareinnovation.com. Some solutions that we built for customers, and we're repeating them for other customers. Like one to mention at the top there is Lift. That's a middleware solution that controls and manages AGVs, AMRs throughout the facilities of our customers. And then the other one I'll mention here is Spark MES and Spark SCADA. Spark SCADA is what we're going to talk about today for the case study with American Water. It is built on Ignition. It is for the SCADA level. It was built in Perspective, developing under ISA 101 standards, so allows us to quickly deploy SCADA solutions in Ignition. And with that, I will hand it back over to Mark.
All right. Thanks, Mike, and thank you, Sam. The agenda is divided into 3 parts. First, we're going to quickly define what edge computing means and how that compares to the Purdue model, often used for automation and controls. And then we'll use a customer case study to explain how edge computing benefits automation and control solutions. And finally, we'll summarize and we'll go to the Q&A part of the session. So reminder, please submit all your questions for the speakers in the Ask a Question box, and we'll get to them at the end of the session. So for the first part of the panel discussion, Mike, can you define what edge computing is so the audience is all on the same page?
Yeah, sure, Mark, will do. So according to Gartner, edge computing is part of a distributed computing topology where information processing is located close to the edge. That's the physical location where things and people connect with the network digital world. Edge computing includes the device edge, where you'll find the PLCs or programmable logic controllers, the DCS systems, distributed control systems, that provide the bulk of all the control and automation. Above that, you've got the gateway edge. This provides the communication and access from the control level to the next level, which is the compute edge. And at the compute edge, this houses the computer platforms or servers that run the frontline monitoring and control systems. Above that, they've got the next level as the data center, the local data center, should I say, where you'll find collection and control room, or data collection and control room systems like HMI and SCADA. The final tier within the model is the edge of this edge computing model is the regional data center. The regional data center is really the central hub that manages multiple sites, plants, and or control command centers. And as you can see, the scope of edge computing involves the majority of where the monitoring control of the plant or facility takes place. I really look at the Gartner topology of the edge compute version of or sort of say, as the edge compute version of a Purdue model. So some call it the computers in manufacturing model if you're around in the 90s, but the Purdue model for industrial control systems. And if you look at them side by side, you can see the similarities. If we combine them both in an automation and control architecture, this is really what it's going to look like. Sam, would you mind giving an explanation on this slide for me?
Yeah, so speaking of the Purdue model, I'm a Purdue graduate, so I love it when we call it the Purdue model. This architecture is for American Water at an enterprise level. So starting on the left, we've got plants, and there are a lot of plants for American Water. American Water is maybe the largest publicly traded company that you've never heard of. They service over 1 billion gallons of water a day. They service 6,400 communities every day. They've got from coast to coast north of 500 sites, or what we're showing here on the enterprise architecture slide, plants. So either surface water or groundwater sites, again, north of 500. And the small, medium, and large is really dependent on the number of gallons that they're producing every day. And these can get up to hundreds of millions of gallons a day for these sites. So on the left side, like I said, the medium and large sites is where we have Stratus deployed. At the medium sites, we are typically deploying a Stratus FT server 2910. And then at the large sites, it's a 4910. Both of them typically have 6 virtual images. So it's 3 redundant pairs of Ignition SCADA for HMI, Ignition Historian, which is a SQL node, so redundant SQL, redundant SCADA, and then finally redundant Thin Manager for some of those sites that have multiple clients and managing those clients. So moving from left to right, we've got what American Water refers to as the PIN network. That is when these sites are being deployed and coming online, they're pumping data, KPI information up to the cloud, where they're doing enterprise reporting. That cloud solution has been deployed for remote access, for load balancing, for reporting of enterprise-wide data. So again, this is an enterprise architecture, but most of the discussion will be on the plant side today. So the next slide, I believe I get into here specifically about the case study for American Water. So the challenges are many.
Please, Sam, talk more about the application and the benefits and how edge computing works into all of it.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. So case study for American Water. The challenges at American Water is they've got limited to almost zero IT support at these sites. And with that, we had to provide a solution that was very reliable, and they didn't need to manage because the OT professionals at these sites are typically busy doing field measurements and making sure that, they're staying in compliance and they're delivering clean and healthy water. So our objective again was to provide a solution that was a standardized solution that could be deployed at multiple sites throughout the country. American Water approached us about 3 years ago. They said they wanted to use inductive automation. They wanted to use Ignition as the SCADA platform throughout the country. And we still are a premier integrator for inductive automation. And so it was a good match because we had already been doing work for American Water locally in Indiana. So we set out on this journey with American Water. They wanted to use Ignition as the SCADA platform, and their current platform is Iconics, mostly Iconics throughout the states. A lot of their hardware, controls hardware is Rockwell, Allen Bradley PLCs. We actually didn't really touch the control layer that much for these sites deployments. And then what we brought to the table was Stratus. So instead of buying another Dell Tower PC or another DIC client, we offered a different solution for them, and that was Stratus. The results thus far have been great. Zero downtime since 2019. We've deployed around 10 different site locations. And again, American Water is on this journey to, over time, convert the hardware and software platform solution from Iconics and disparate hardware resources to a single Stratus node with Ignition. And I'll hand it back now to Mark.
Great. Yes, thanks. And next, we're going to get into even more details about the benefits of edge computing as applied in the American Water application. So, Mike, what is workload consolidation, and how does it help engineers create their automation and control solutions?
Well, Mark, I think the name kind of gives this away a little bit, that workload consolidation really is about the deployment of multiple physical assets on a single, more advanced, virtualized edge computer or server.
So then why is workload consolidation needed?
Well, workload consolidation, it's because you deploy the applications to a smaller number of compute devices. You not only have a fewer devices to maintain and operate, but you also need less panel space and wiring, so it's a lot more efficient. You also have all your software assets in a single, redundant, if required, and industrially hardened edge device. That single device with its virtualization makes it much easier to implement the solutions, as Sam's talked about, but especially in industries that require GMP or validation and or regulation. And when you're pulling in large amounts of data points from assets and machines in the field, the lines that are out in the plants, that getting it from the edge into the enterprise or cloud, you need to be aware of things like latency or bandwidth problems that could arise, especially when you're using the information for real-time analysis or decision making. So installing highly performant compute platforms at the edge where it's close or near to production or operations, you can solve any of those latency and bandwidth challenges. And when you combine that with store forward capabilities of the historians and redundancy features of the edge compute platform, your customers now have what I would say is a reliable, secure, latency-free configuration that will allow them to more easily push data after the fact up to the cloud without affecting any local real-time decision-making or analysis.
Sam, how does edge computing help with workload consolidation and projects at American Water?
Yeah, it's really simple for American Water because all these sites had disparate hardware resources ranging from a Dell Tower PC that was running Server 2003 or a client that had Windows 10 and you didn't know what kind of patch level it was. For this solution that we're rolling out for American Water using Stratus, it's one common platform. So the hardware is repeatable. We know how to manage it through one single interface. And again, so we're taking a lot of physical assets and consolidating to one. And with that ability comes more repeatability. They're able to adopt it a lot easier. And we've actually also seen that when we did a study at the very beginning, instead of buying more hardware and instead of buying different disparate resources for servers or clients as they come online or offline, going to one physical asset was actually more cost effective for them. And they were able to potentially reduce or increase the life cycle. So traditionally they were life cycling equipment every 4 to 6 years. With Stratus, we were able to go beyond that.
Great, thanks. Mike, how do you define operational resilience and how is that playing out in edge computing platforms?
Okay, so first of all, to us, preventing unplanned downtime from happening is a key aspect. So really, when you look at it, the software is only as good as the platform it runs on. And for mission critical applications, you really need that platform to make sure it doesn't have unplanned downtime. The edge platform provides redundancy. If it's easy to implement, not just from actually deploying the hardware, but also ensuring that the applications that are running are also covered. So if you think that a lot of the companies now, the software, they have redundancy elements or heartbeats built into them, but that only covers their application, their specific application. But what about the other applications that are running on that same node? You know, it makes it a lot easier for the integrators if all of that can be taken into account on the actual edge platform. So another aspect of operational resilience that we see is being able to deploy an industrial grade platform that's equally at home in the control panel with the PLCs, drives, or other control components. And even if that's in a harsh environment due to temperature, humidity, vibration, or even if it's in a class 1 Div 2 environment, you know, we see that as part of operational resilience. And finally, to us, again, operational resilience includes the ability for the edge compute platform to help secure the control infrastructure from cyber attacks.
So Sam, what components of operational resilience have mattered in the American Water implementations?
Yeah, so downtime, American Water really can't have downtime. If they have downtime, they're not delivering water to people, and that can't happen. So even before we got engaged, downtime was very critical, and providing Stratus provides that critical downtime prevention through the built-in hardware redundancy of Stratus, and then the built-in software redundancy with the multiple virtual images being deployed on Stratus. They were able to keep that downtime prevention. And then in terms of ruggedization, so these are pretty harsh environments depending on where you're at in the plant. You know, they're pumping chemicals into the water to treat it. Those chemicals can get in the air and fall on physical assets. It had to be ruggedized for the pretty harsh environment that is put in at these sites. And then finally, cybersecurity, a big thing for American Water, because I believe wastewater is still the #1 industry under cyber attack right now. So the cybersecurity was a must-have, and Stratus was able to deliver on that.
Great, thanks. So far, we've covered workload consolidation and operational resilience. Many use cases in automation and controls require scalability, extensibility, flexibility, and repeatability. Mike, how do you address scalability?
So, Mark, to Stratus, scalability is really about allowing our partners and customers to start off small and then easily add capability, such as redundancy. So if you look at the ZTC Edge configurations, they can be purchased as single nodes. And then by adding a second node, you can automatically upgrade to a redundant configuration, as easy as plugging it in. In addition, these nodes can be geographically dispersed as well to add extra protection to the system. So imagine you've deployed a single node. The customer decides that they cannot tolerate any downtime. Rather than having to spend time adding custom code or reconfiguring how you built the system, imagine you can just actually plug a second node into the system and it configures for redundancy. Also migrating larger capacity FT server edge systems, there we can provide the increased scalability, as those systems are hugely configurable and upgradable. So we allow the systems to grow as the needs arise without the need to rip and replace.
So Sam, is scalability a major consideration in the project implementation that you're working on with American Water? If so, how?
Yeah, scalability is a requirement for American Water. When we're deploying at these like medium and large sites, they wanted to have the ability to expand beyond just the 6 virtual images that are deployed for these Stratus servers. So it's really easy for us. Stratus provides a sizing spreadsheet. You can say how many virtual images are being deployed, how much spare utilization or space that is needed, and then it gives you a model number. So we're building these offerings, or we're rolling out these offerings to at least have 30% spare for the scalable solution.
Great. Mike, how about extensibility and flexibility?
Well, in our experience, customers want solutions that are designed to allow the addition of these new capabilities or functionality without breaking their budget. So, for example, empowering operators by giving them the ability to use these mobile devices for monitoring and control, rather than being tied to the normal panel and control room computer displays. This was especially important during the COVID pandemic. Operators didn't have to be in front of their machines to be able to see what was happening. They were able to remotely perform actions to address alarms and events. And it's easy for us to drop remote desktop services like Thin Manager into a Stratus virtual machine. And that'll give the customers the ability to monitor and control their machines from remote locations using those tablets, cell phones, laptops, mobile devices, as you will. Extensibility also allows us to provide our partners and customers with the ability to standardize deployments and remotely monitor their installed base and take action, hopefully before the issues arise.
So Sam, has Flexware applied the extensibility and flexibility capabilities of edge computing?
Yeah, with American Water, this was almost a #1 requirement. Maybe besides downtime prevention, they wanted to have the ability to see the plant or the site or the state from almost anywhere, from anyone pulling up on any device. So someone in New Jersey could see if they had the correct security login, they could see how Virginia's running, or maybe a site in Indiana, and they could go from an enterprise portal down to a site level SCADA system. So that is all accomplished with this architecture in place. Um, and then at the plant level, when you're actually in the plant, like Mike was saying, leveraging Thin Manager on the Stratus hardware was part of the solution. So instead of deploying for at least the large sites, a lot of thick clients out in the field, we're giving them the ability to use Thin Manager and deploy thin clients out in the field. And for some sites, we even went a step further and we integrated RFID badges into this solution, so they can walk up and badge swipe to a terminal and then deliver the content through Thin Manager, the SCADA solution, because operations sometimes forgets their password, so we gave them that feature.
So, Mike, back to you. How does edge computing help in repeatability and standardization?
Really, it's by validating and testing the virtualized application. You can deploy these much quicker. It allows our partners that deploy the same or similar applications the ability to replicate and duplicate software solutions and applications multiple times. And they don't need to be an IT professional or programmer. Any technician can really do this with little effort. The ability to create an image, deploy that image from a local drive or the cloud, also helps to speed up the deployment, Mark.
So, Sam, can you explain how to use edge computing to create standardization in projects? It's a really important aspect to many system integrators. How are you using repeatability in Flexware?
Yeah, for this solution for American Water, dare I say it's becoming easy because we're able to size the hardware properly. So it's a repeatable hardware solution, and we've templatized the images. So meaning we can spin up a virtual image very easily on this hardware. And then American Water knows what to expect. And as Mike was saying, you don't have to be an IT professional to do this. It's made pretty easy with Stratus. So it's a repeatable solution that we've already created templates for that allows us to get the solution up and running quicker, which reduces our engineering costs. And so American Water, it's a win-win for everyone.
Great. Finally, Mike, are there additional advantages that automation and controls professionals in the audience could get from edge computing?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Mark, actually. Really, for system integrators and anyone creating solutions for automation and control, a lot of the edge, I don't know if you want to move on to the next slide for us. Yeah. Really, for anybody doing that, a lot of the edge computing vendors provide add-on services that can be used as additional revenue streams. At Stratus, we offer a number of these, and some of, just to kind of give you an insight to them. Things like system support. This will allow you to include root cause of the problem determination, upgrades and updates to the software on there. System health with 24/7 health monitoring, alert triage, failure analysis. We do advanced parts exchange, where we send out a replacement part before we get the faulty part returned. And this can even be sent out when we detect a potential failure. So a part can arrive at the customer before the parts actually even failed, which is pretty good. Remote management and centralized monitoring of an edge platform or fleet in multiple locations, allowing the transmission, storage, and retrieval of the platform templates for backup and restoration, as well as an advisor tool that our partners can use to manage their implementations in the field. And for sensitive data installations, we give the ability to swap out units whilst the customer retains the hard drive media, so that any sensitive data is still retained by them and not returned to us. And on the FT server installations, we also offer our certified and endorsed system integrators an ability to opt into providing the Stratus Jumpstart experience to their customers, thereby really providing additional revenue opportunities for the partner.
Sam, has Flexware taken advantage of these features, and are you using them as additional revenue streams?
Yeah, as Mike said, that offering for a jumpstart, we're doing those for these site deployments, and that's additional revenue for us. So we're really providing a turnkey solution for American Water, meaning all of the hardware, software, engineering services, and support goes through Flexware. That makes it easy for American Water to do a one-stop shop.
Great, thanks. So to summarize some of the key takeaways of this session so far, edge computing can provide the ability to consolidate siloed applications on multiple disparate systems, reliably run HMI and SCADA software with other advanced applications, even enhancing the deployed application to become fully redundant with no re-engineering. It can capture and process and store and protect large amounts of data. It reduces risks and costs associated with unplanned application downtime, infrastructure management, and serviceability. And it makes cloud solutions perform better, meets the demands of both IT and OT environments without the need for expensive IT resources, delivers solutions with performance, scalability, reliability, and longevity for current operations, and yet provides headroom to support future requirements. Sam, what are some of your key takeaways?
Yeah, so my key takeaway for American Water, or two key takeaways relate to this slide. It's a reliable solution Stratus provides instead of, again, multiple physical assets at these plants where they're managing them independently, going to a Stratus edge deployment where they don't have IT professionals on staff at these sites. So you don't, like Mike said, you don't have to be an IT professional to manage these. You can have limited experience and still manage this hardware and software. So now we can keep the operators focused on delivering, again, clean water to its customers. So it's a reliable solution. And the other key takeaway I have is now it's repeatable. So we proved it at one site, and now we're rolling it out at multiple sites throughout the country. They're taking on all of the sites throughout the country over this 10-year journey. And we're going to keep getting better and better at it and rolling it out. So it's a repeatable solution that is being adopted by American Water.
Mike, before we wrap up and get on to the Q&A, can you briefly describe the Stratus System Integrator Program?
Yes, Mark, absolutely. So the SI program, the Stratus SI program, is complimentary. No fees associated with it at all. And a major part of the program is actually about enablement, making sure that our partners are positioned for the best chance of success, not just in the deployment of the solutions that they develop on the Stratus Edge platforms, but also in helping them position their edge solutions during the sales process. So officially, we promote 3 tiers to the program, following the norm of registered, certified, and endorsed. But we actually have an internal tier that we call qualifying. And that's where an SI is enrolled into the program, but they've not yet completed the sort of prerequisites or the training requirements that are needed to get them up to registered. So a qualifying system integrator, they'll have access to our web-based enablement materials that they access through our partner portal. They won't appear in any partner locator or any promotional materials that we do, but they will have access, as I say, to all the training materials. Once they've done the qualification, they become registered, then they'll get obviously access to the badge that you see on the screen. They'll also get more access to materials within the partner portal. They'll have access to any form of partner locator that we introduce. And as a registered SI, there's additional benefits that things like discounted demo systems. After they've deployed their first system, we can introduce them to a company called Alliant, which can try and recover tax dollars for the development work. So there's a number of benefits that we offer even at the registered tier. As they progress and the SI works with us and develops their competency, they'll progress to the certified tier. And at that level, obviously, we expect them to commit additional resources to the certification, so more people being trained, and to also have approved projects that we can both talk about. So ideally, we'll do these as case studies or video references where the customer's openly promoting both Stratus and the system integrator. Flexware is a perfect example of this, obviously with the American Water case study. So Flexware are one of our certified system integrators, and American Water, you've heard all about that from Sam today. As a certified SI, you gain access to further benefits. And one of those I touched on earlier, which is this implementation specialist, where once you've completed the relevant training, you're then able to do jumpstart installations on behalf of us, so taking revenue for doing the jumpstarts. Our top tier system integrators will be invited to become endorsed, and at that we'll obviously be looking at them to invest a little bit more in terms of training and case studies, etc. At that level, we're really looking for partners that are prepared to, what I call spec bust, the ones that they lead with Stratus. So even if the request for proposal or the customer's asking for, a cluster of or something like that, they go back to the customer and saying, look, we've used the Stratus technology here and here. It's a much better return on investment. It's a much better proposition. Here's why. Will you consider an alternative bid? This is why it makes sense. And those are the partners that we want to work with at the endorse level. So it's a much, much closer relationship. In addition to being part of the SI program, if an SI has any specialist domain experience, you'll find that they can often develop a standardized solution that they can take to market under their own brand name. And in that situation, we also can enroll them into our VAR program, our value-added reseller program, where we can agree what that price point will look like and any configuration of the products. And that's really for when somebody's doing repeatable solutions and, like I say, taking that product to market under their own brand. We will have uploaded the SI program guide and the partner enablement guide as part of the webinar package for today as well. So, feel free to take a look at that. Come back to me with any questions if you want, or you can enroll to be a partner by visiting stratus.com, and there's a become a partner page. It's a simple form, just fill it in and we'll get you access to the partner portal where you'll see all the materials and the training enablement stuff. Thanks, Mark.
Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Sam. Now the audience listening live can type questions for the today's presenters in the Ask a Question box on the screen. Already some have come in, thank you. We'll answer as many questions as we can, and then within a few days, the presentation will be available for on-demand viewing. We'll post the archive to the Control Engineering website, and we'll send you an email message with the link connecting directly to it and to related resources after it's ready. And now on to the questions. And please, as we go through them, continue to submit. We'll get to as many as we can. Thanks very much for the presentation. My question, you've talked about the capabilities of edge computing. What are some of the limits of edge computing?
That's a very good question, actually. I don't really see too many limitations with edge computing, to be quite honest with you, Mark, or whoever asked the question. We scale from small SCADA type implementations to really large ones that Sam's been talking about. So I don't really see a great deal of limitation with it. The scalability of both ZTC Edge and FT Server and Everrun, for that matter, allow us to address virtually all the edge installation or edge applications that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I don't know if there really is a limit. For American Water going enterprise-wide, they did have a cloud solution to do cloud computing, but everything else can be delivered with edge.
Great, thanks very much. Question for Sam to start. What are some of the key challenges that were most difficult to address in this project, and then how did you solve them?
The biggest hurdle that we came across was not really getting American Water to adopt Stratus. That was easy because, again, the fact that you don't have to be an IT professional to manage this hardware that was not a hurdle. That was a welcomed addition to the solution. The difficult part for us was getting operators that are used to their way of operating the plant with a lot of color schemes. Christmas lights sometimes is what you would refer to it as, the SCADA platform that had lots of colors and would distract the operators, honestly. And getting them to adopt an ISA 101 standard, that was the biggest hurdle for us. And how we overcame it was honestly just sitting with them side by side and having both systems up side by side and correlating one to another until they felt comfortable.
In the ISA standard, I'm sure most people are familiar. It's primarily in gray tones, except when something happens and requires attention, and then there are colors.
Yes, thank you.
Mike, anything to add there?
No, I think Sam covered it fine. Thanks.
Great. So moving on, this is so much great information. How do we get started with a project using FT Server with inductive automation? What do I need to do so I will not fail? So Mike, maybe you'd like to start with that one?
Well, first of all, enroll into the program so you've got access to all the training materials. That would be my first place to start. The training materials cover everything from, what the product's about, how to position it, how to compete with it, how to handle objections when you're in the sales cycle of it, and then from a pre-sales perspective, sizing, guidance, things like that. And then we've got the service training as well of how to look after it, how to handle any issues that may arise. So that would be the first place I would start. Second, I would obviously engage with our sales teams and also the likes of Sam and his team, who will ultimately be doing the deployments. But certainly engage with the sales team. They'll help you assess what you're trying to do, how you're trying to do it, what sort of solution you'll be looking for, whether it would be a ZTC Edge or an FT server installation. And then, like I say, involve Sam and his team from the execution from the SI side. But always a great place to start as well is doing a proof of concept. Start small and scale.
Sam, any additions about how Stratus was able to help Flexware with your implementations?
Yeah, so I totally agree with Mike. Start with training, dedicate a team internally as an SI. That's what we decided to do. We wanted to dedicate certain individuals that knew Stratus front to back. So they went through training, understood the product line, and then that makes it much easier, obviously, to get the solution up and running. And again, going back to the sizing spreadsheet, it makes it really easy to understand what product to actually select from to deliver the solution. So Stratus makes it easier in that space too. And then I also agree with Mike. I tell customers if we're starting off with them, first time, start small, crawl, then walk, then run. So those would be some of the things I would add to that comment.
Yeah. So the sizing tools that Sam refers to actually, Mark, are available in the partner portal. They're available for the range of the products that we do, and that will allow you to put inputs in there of what products you're going to install, the number of virtual machines that you're going to be intending to use, and it will calculate the size of the configuration that you need. So
yeah, I heard that in the presentation as well. It seems very useful.
Yeah.
Cool. What are some of the key challenges that were most difficult to? Oh, let's see. All right. So, yeah, key challenges related to this project, and how did you solve them, Sam?
Yeah, that one, like I said before, just overcoming the operations to adopt a new platform that didn't look like what they had before. That was the biggest challenge that we had to overcome.
All right, great. So what should I do so I can execute proof of concept to test the feasibility of a solution now and then be able to execute a scaled multi-phase project?
Okay, I'll take that first, Sam, and let you add to it if you want. So from a proof of concept perspective, I mean, like I said before, reach out to the sales team. We can obviously assist with enabling that proof of concept with either loan equipment if it's required, to help you design out design what's required for it, and then look at what the success criteria will be, both from your side and the customer's side. And we'll help document all that so we can make sure that as we go through the proof of concept with you, we've got resources available, technical resources available to make sure that we understand what you're trying to do, what the success criteria looks like to get the best outcome. And then after the proof of concept, obviously then to roll out to the main production project, again, to make sure that what we've done in the POC is transferable.
And Sam, this is bread and butter for system integrators, front end loading, all the planning ahead of time. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Front end loading in terms of what?
Yeah, the proof of concept and planning ahead to test feasibility.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, starting small with customers and proving the solution out ahead of time is always my recommendation with customers when consulting with them. And the way we accomplish that too, at least for American Water, what we did at the very beginning, we had the Stratus hardware delivered to our physical locations. We stood it up. We set up a simulated environment where we had the PLC code running in our office, had all the virtual images stood up on Stratus, and we really went through like a light FAT, factory acceptance test, to prove that out before even going on site to commission the system. I highly recommend that to avoid pitfalls when you come to commissioning.
Yeah, and I can see where that kind of support for system integrators would help during the problem solving and proof of concept stage. Very good. So as a reminder to the audience listening live, please continue to submit your questions and we'll get to as many as time allows. And now moving right along. So why did they want ignition over some other SCADA type solution? I mean, there's certainly a lot out there available.
Well, American Water at an enterprise level, they had already selected ignition as their platform. They, like I said, had Iconics running at all these plants, mostly Iconics, some iFix. But they wanted to adopt a platform and they chose ignition, and we happened to be a premier integrator. So we weren't really involved in the selection process, but for their reasons, based on their requirements, they chose to trail path forward with ignition.
Very good. So shouldn't a robust solution or model also contain plans for continued operation in the event of communications failure? How does that fit into the module, that kind of contingency planning?
I can speak to American Water. So a lot of these sites are still, they still have the ability to run pretty much in manual. So even in worst case scenario, if communications fail, they still know how to keep pumps running, put them in hand mode and still deliver water. So that's always been a capability for these sites. So even in the event of a communication failure, they can keep running.
Well, I think to add to that, Sam, sorry, Matt, just to add to that, Sam, obviously with the capability with the edge compute, we talked about this being at the location where the things are happening, the operations, the plant. You're not relying upon cloud, communications with a cloud server somewhere remote. So you are minimizing the issue of any latency or breaking data communications that way as well. It's all contained within within a very close location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
Very good. So for the next question, what are some of the more important features of the Stratus server that made it appropriate for use in this project?
The biggest feature, like I've said a couple times, the fact that you don't have to be an IT professional to deploy these solutions. So us as systems integrators, we don't have to be IT professionals to stand them up. And then likewise, the customer doesn't have to be an IT professional to manage them moving forward. That was the most important feature. And the fact that, again, we were also able to consolidate a lot of hardware, disparate hardware that they weren't managing really effectively. And if they were, it cost them a lot of time. Now they can go to one single platform, common interface. They know how to use it. It's standard. And they can now focus on keeping the plant running.
And Mike, is that in line with what you're seeing from other Stratus customers?
Yeah, it is, Mark. Absolutely.
Great. Here's a question addressed to Mike. How big is the installed base? How many customers does Stratus have?
So I think I mentioned earlier in the introduction that there's over 11,000 customers that we've got that we keep continuously available. All our applications continuously available.
Across a wide range of industries.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a very horizontal play for us. If there's a critical business application, it needs to be running all the time, then it's an ideal solution and an ideal opportunity for us. So, yeah.
Sam, and I know, some customers are confidential, but have you used edge computing solutions with some of your other customers' applications?
Yeah, we've deployed Stratus just in the last few years at chemical customer, at life science customer, at a steel customer. So this isn't just a one industry or one customer type of deployment.
Good. Here's a list about another question on communications. Can you provide a list of available communications protocols? And is it changed by number of physical I/O, number of eternal points, or what? How do you determine what communication protocols to use?
If that's directed towards American Water, I can answer it in their case. So Ignition has built-in communication drivers that can speak to almost everything. The common platform is OPC. And so we're able to talk to almost anything in the control layer. And Ignition does that for us. So I mentioned earlier, a lot of it is Rockwell out there that we've seen for American Water sites, but some of it's not. And we can do that through OPC and the built-in drivers. Some of the American Water sites do have Kepware, and they're still leveraging Kepware. And we're just making sure that those connections and those tag references stay in place. So again, when we go to commission, we're really standing up side by side and doing a comparison of screen to screen to make sure that the IO connection is there.
All right. Let's see. Perhaps one more question. What role does cellular connectivity play in edge computing for remote access? And then, has there been any concerns in using cellular communications?
So I can take that again in reference to American Water, because we have been doing some cellular deployments for them as well. They're actually adopting cellular quite a bit as a backup fail-safe to their radio system. And in times, they've actually seen that cellular has been more reliable and giving that data from all the towers and sites going back to a central data concentrator, that they can do that with cellular.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Mike, anything to add?
No, it'd be Sam that gets the most experience using cellular, I'm afraid. So I'm nothing more to add on that one.
All right, great. Hey, thanks everyone for the great questions, and thanks for our experts here, Mike and Sam, for their efforts. Please, as we close out the webcast, please continue to submit your questions, and we'll get to as many unanswered questions offline as we can. We appreciate the presenters today, and thanks to our sponsor, Stratus Technology, for their work. For more information, here are links to where you can get information and other resources about the solutions that were discussed today. And now that we're just about done, we want to hear how we did. The exit survey will pop up on the screen as soon as the webcast ends. We want to make sure that you take a moment to complete it, because we use this information to improve our webcasts. Finally, on behalf of Control Engineering, I'd like to thank you for attending. This concludes our webcast. Thank you and goodbye.
Cheers. Thanks.